Hearing none, approval of the agenda by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. The agenda is set as amended. Under reports and presentations, we have, as was mentioned a minute ago, these have been Cherokee, our neighbors slightly to the north. We're certainly glad to have some of them here today, and we have Principal Chief Michell Hicks is here. So Chief Hicks would welcome you, and he asked to be on our agenda to make some comments to the board. So welcome, sir.
To talk about the Nikwasi Mound tonight. We've purchased a good bit of land over here in Franklin. This is home of the middle towns, back historically. And I know that we all cherish certain historical aspects of where we live. But, I just want to say that this mound is to us is simply not just a mound. I've been birding for a while, and I've had individual conversations. I made a statement at the when we recently purchased the Hall Mountain property that it's time, and I'm asking and I'm pleading with you all this evening to help us. The mound belongs to the Cherokee people, and it needs to be back on time. My heart tells me that. The voices of my people tell me that. And I just know it's the right thing. I want to share something with you. I want to share something if you don't mind. When the issues were going on with the Macon report, obviously that became a little controversial. I had a gentleman come to my office, and he just happened to work for the congressman, at that time. And in simple words, he was like, "Chief, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Sure, ask me a question." He said, "Why are you guys making such a big fuss about these?" And I said, "Well, obviously, these were Cherokee lands. There's so much history there that, when you walk on the land, you feel the history, you feel it in your heart, you think about it in your mind." And I asked him, I said, "Do you have a cemetery? Do you have a county cemetery?" And he said, "Yes, sir, I do." I said, "Well, what if, I went to get my truck and my bulldozer and came up, and without any permission, I just started dozing it over. What would you think about that?" Well, he said, "I wouldn't like that at all." I said, "Well, nor do we." And so, I know there's probably some jurisdictional issues between, the county and the town. But I humbly ask for you guys to give consideration and to help us, because it's time for that mound to come back under the name of the Cherokee. We're willing to talk about trade opportunities. We're willing to talk about value of the property, but it's time for it to come home. And I will say that we're willing to create any type of MOA or MOU for the property, and I promise you that we'll take good care of it. You guys can continue to benefit from folks coming to see it, but I promise you we'll take pride in the maintenance of that property. And I'm not knocking anything historically that may have happened. That's water under the bridge. No issue there. So that's my plea this evening. And I don't know how much time I have, and I don't know if some of the tribal members want to speak, but that's what's on my heart, guys. I didn't prepare a formal presentation for this evening. I didn't feel what I had. I want to speak to you from my heart. That's what I have. I appreciate your time.
And respect that. I have a question. Is that my understanding? Is that owned by the town of Franklin?
Technically, it is owned by the town of Franklin, and there are a few covenants in that deed that could potentially create a little bit of a headache and even with this issue and this request, but I don't think they're insurmountable. Ultimately, though, I think it would be a decision that the town is going to have to make.
So our role in that could be advisory, could it be suggesting?
I think it'd be advisory, suggesting, and I think to the extent that the county is supportive of that, I think it would be important to bring to the attention of the town and try to work very cooperatively with the county on some recent projects.
And Chief Hicks, that was my understanding. We don't have any direct ownership of that.
I understand.
We can certainly express our opinion to the town board. I
And one of the ideas that I tossed around and is, I know there's historical ties, it's close to a lot of people's hearts, but one of the things that we could do, especially for the historical purposes, is, again, just for consideration, if we start some kind of historical fund, maybe possibly a foundation, just to support not just the Nikwasi Mound, but other properties, because you guys are so rich in Cherokee history here. We're willing to talk about that, and again, obviously it takes resources to do these kind of things, but again, we're willing to talk about it, because we want it to happen. So I just want to, leave that door open. I have issued a formal letter to the town with my request. Obviously, I've done it informally, but if you could just give me guidance in regards to what you think my next steps are, I'm willing to do whatever I have to do.
As you're speaking, I'm sitting here thinking, my children are the 8th generation of my family that's lived here. So my family and your relatives coexisted here together. There's family stories about that. So there's a history and a heritage of our people working together, and that should continue to be that way. I think we have mutual respect for each other. I think that's what everybody is. Legally, I think we're fairly limited about what we can do simply because the county, even though we have jurisdiction in the entire county, that property is physically owned by the town front. That's what here our attorneys understand.
With that being said, Chief Hicks, going back, I think I'm the one still on the board during the Iowa days, which we learned a lot. And thanks to Russ Townsend, I see Russ sitting back here. I believe since that time, Russ, we've had no problem.
No, sir. We've gotten along good on a lot of projects.
And this board has learned a lot. Personally learned a lot about the Cherokee heritage. And I think that we can have a strong relationship with each band because if they are a lot of history in Macon County. I think the mound would be a great reunion. County mounds are now, as you know, by the Eastern Band, which hold a very significant thing in the history of Eastern Band in Cherokee. So we'd be happy to encourage the town any way we can to be cooperative. I think that's probably the best we can do. Derek, you're here. But I really think that we could
Derek works from town frame.
But we could, I think we can certainly encourage that. They have an election coming up. I think this will be a topic in that election.
Well, I'm sensitive. I would see nothing wrong, Chester, you correct me if I'm wrong, if we wanted to take a stand on this, we could certainly have a motion supporting Chief Hicks in this.
It's easy to prepare a resolution that would maybe outline some of the things that have been a valuable relationship and points of cooperation, as well as the.
Well, the chief just said, they was willing for a memorandum of understanding, willing to look at a lot of different avenues. So I think that's an open door policy that the town and the county should be involved.
There's one existing treaty that I'm aware of. Actually, this was the first chief to sign the treaty in about 50 years, but it's actually in Barberville, Kentucky. Maybe some of you probably don't even know about it, but what that treaty does is outline our ability to go to Barberville and select the river canyon for baskets. And so, maybe this is even an opportunity to do a treaty with the town and or county. And forever is the grass is greener, the water flows. And again, we can create whatever we need to make this work.
Why don't we, obviously we don't have a resolution prepared tonight, exactly what we're going to speak about, but we could either have a motion to ask Chester to prepare one, and that, I think that would be in order, if that's what we're going to do.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks. I appreciate it very much.
Now, we appreciate our partnerships too. We all know that Western North Carolina's about partnerships. That's the only way we're going to get ahead and stay up with, the metropolitan area. So we just appreciate that.
You and I haven't spoken directly about it, but you guys were very cooperative with us property we purchased on the west end of Franklin, Parker Meadows property. You granted us the ability to build all those kind of things on that. We appreciate that very much. That's also, we think, probably a significant Cherokee site as far as the living area. We found no archaeological remains there. That's whenever we get around to developing that, I would be interested in talking to you about maybe some markers and some informational things that we can do out there that would let folks know that your people live here before we did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, any action you want to take?
I think if there is a consensus of the board, I'll proceed with preparing a proposed resolution. I'll circulate it. There's items that need to be added and deleted.
Well, I think we should include what the chief said about the different, memorandum of understanding, the tree. There's a lot of things that, you know, that you can do that I think the town will give them a lot more options than just, you know, I think there's a lot of opportunities.
Chester, correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you agree with this, what you're agreeing is to allow Chester to prepare that resolution, and then you would have the opportunity to be for or against it at that time. Absolutely. Ron, are you okay with that?
The only thing I might add is, I think it might be wise for us just to sit down for a message discussed with some of the town hall.
That was something I envisioned putting into the resolution, is encouraging the very meeting that Chief Hicks was suggesting, and perhaps three entities sitting down together.
Totally agree.
Okay, you have unanimous consent of the board to ask you to prepare that document, and I would include a continuing language about continuing relationship, not just this particular issue. I think that would be desirable. Right? Thank you very much, Chief Hicks. The next item we have John Bankston.
Now, Rush ain't gonna run out.
And you guys are.
Is there anything else I can tell you? Thank you very much. And I appreciate all this.
All right, John, we have John Bankston. And John is